Here we go. All right. Welcome to episode 9 of Mapping It Out podcast. Hopefully this sounds extra juicy and sexy today because we got these brand new microphones.
So nice. Sure.
Yeah. It's. I'm still getting used to it though. I feel like this awkward thing pointing in my face, making it weird.
I know a little bit, but it sounds great, doesn't it?
I hope so. Let us know. Hopefully we sound really good.
Really great.
Well, speaking of sounding, today's topic, we wanted to discuss something that I think trips up so many people, especially in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship, where there's so much information out there and everybody has an opinion about shit, but it's really difficult to figure out who to listen to, right? Because your parents tell you one thing, your friends tell you another thing, and somebody above who's done it will tell you another thing. So you really got to audit like where you get your information from. So one thing that I find is really simple. Has the person done what you want to do? Like, do they actually have a real world experience in building or doing the things that you want to execute on? And if not specifically, have they built something parallel or something similar, or something of, a similar size or nature where their experience might not be exactly transferable to your business, but it'll be like really parallel or in line with what you're trying to do. And dude, so many people just end up listening to the wrong shit. And there's so many people putting out complete bullshit information that really should have have no bearing, having an opinion on anything.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop them from saying shit. So I think that's something I'd like to get into today.
Yeah, definitely. My biggest thing is there's so many people out here in social media that say they know everything, but it's just all like a front. You know what I mean?
Oh, usually, yeah.
And then it's like being an entrepreneur, that's why I became an entrepreneur, to get the things that I've always wanted, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like when I do work with a certain company or anything like that, there is a cap in the marketplace in a way, to me, I always thought. But it's like just being your own boss, you can do whatever you want, make as much money as you want. But it's not easy finding the right people that can support you, your vision, and get you on a fast track to where you want to go. Because so many people are like, oh, I do this and I can do that and blah, 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 and empty promises and things like that. And that's where it's like, I only focus on the people that I want to focus on if they have what I want.
Yeah.
If that's the lifestyle I want, then I'll listen to you because that's what you have and that's what I'm looking for,
Mm-hmm. And the thing to consider too is that most people that you'll talk to, they generally they want to help you, right? And they're coming from a place of good, where they're genuinely trying to give you the best information that they have. But sometimes that information is really outdated. Mm-hmm. I was having, my little brother is 16 and he came over, we had some dinner last night and we were just hanging out at the fireplace chatting, and he's got a bunch of ideas and opportunities, and he's a really smart dude. But he's his parents, like most parents, really love them. So they're giving him the best information they have about how to find success, right? How to be successful in life and in whatever way you choose. And, 30 years ago, that route was college. Well, shit has completely changed now. But so they're really trying to help, and they're really trying to hey, this is what we think you should do. But it's different now. Shit's completely different. So he's got totally different opportunities than they had when they were kids. And even, 20 something years ago when I was in his almost exact seat, totally different experiences then and opportunities then too. So I think it's important to make sure, listen to everybody, mm-hmm. but weight the opinions appropriately.
Yeah.
Not everybody's opinion carries the same weight, even though they all might want generally like you to do really good.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I forget the saying, take everything with a pinch of salt or some shit like that. What's the saying? Is that it?
Well, even us don't.
Yeah. See, don't listen. I don't even know
a whole
what
shaker
I'm
full
about.
of salt. Yeah, take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, so it's just I think it's what you said. It's really important to listen to everybody in that way, because there's opinions out there where it's you just focus on the business side of what you want. And if that's all you focus on, what about the people that are in your life, relationships, and they're saying I don't like the person you've become. To you, that's fuck, that hurts. But that's actually a relationship problem that people face, where it's you're going so hard for this business. Why? Probably to provide for the relationships mm-hmm. that you have. But some people just want their their dad there. They just want their husband or wife there. Where it's like in reality, it's like you got to listen to both people, but not like take so it's too much seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, relationships are tough. That's a whole other thing, man. Because like, that's maybe one of the hardest things to do is to balance like that entrepreneur drive with, you know, matching up with somebody else in your life who might not really get it, might not really, you know, see what you see in that. But yeah, that's a whole other thing, dude. But also something that I think trips a lot of people up is the topic of haters, right? Or people who disagree with you, or people who don't like you, or whatever it is. But people who are giving you, let's call it negative feedback, right? Not all of that is bad. And sometimes the best advice comes from haters because they don't give a fuck about offending you. So they'll tell you shit that might be true. It might hurt your feelings, but man, sometimes you need to hear that stuff, you know? Like I've heard some things before. So my default is I'll listen to whatever anybody's saying. You say like, you're a dick, you did this, or you said this and that's fucked up, or this. And like my first thing is like, okay, was it fucked up? Was I right? Was I wrong? Is there something I can learn from this? And if it's not apparent to me, if they don't make a good case or an argument that I'm like, hey, logically, this doesn't make any fucking sense, then I look at it like, okay, who are they? What's their experience level? is this somebody that I respect and I should listen to? And like, hey man, if that's the case, if somebody who's you know, a friend or somebody who really knows me is saying that I'm fucking something up, like, dude, okay, that's like, let me know. Let me know what you're seeing so I can get better at fixing it, because I value their opinion. But some random chode on the internet, it's like, you suck and this and this and this, and I look, it's like a blank page and it's like some nerd dude. I'm like, dude, what makes you think I give a single fuck about your opinion, dude? Yeah. Like you're not even qualified to have a fucking opinion on any of these matters, and like you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Like, fuck you. But managing those, you know, let's call them haters. That's an easy term for it. But a lot of them are just they're just caught in their own shit, and they don't realize how ignorant they are to like all the other stuff going on in the world, and and all the different levels there are, and how different people's perspective on life can be so drastically different from their own. They just don't get it, and don't get caught up. People that don't like your shit, it's totally fine. Like maybe they have a case, but once you determine they don't have a case, give zero fucks about that person or their opinion afterwards, because it doesn't matter. How
long do you give it like research of that person? Just go on their Instagram, like
about a half a second.
Yeah. Okay, so going into that, I'm curious now, is like what hurt the most? Like, is there something that, was it like an entrepreneur that reached out, or like even a work, like an employee that like, that kind of like, dude, that one fucking actually hit deep?
No, I mean, it doesn't really hurt, because if they're right, then I need to learn. And that's my fault that I wasn't aware of it and I was screwing it up. And I'm usually like, hey, thanks for letting me know. Like maybe you could have said it better or nicer, but I'm glad that I know now, right? But I don't say none of it. So because maybe I'm an alien pragmatician, like just some fucking cyborg robot, like I don't look at it like it hurts, because I'm genuinely just looking for the right equation. I'm trying to find the right answer to this in whatever form that information comes to me. But there have been times where I've had friends or like legit friends that end up like, I don't know, get drunk and say some stupid shit. And you're like, bro, what are you doing? Like, is this really how you feel? Like, why did you, and if so, why didn't you tell me sooner? Why do you bottle it all up until you're about to explode and you're all pissed off about whatever the fuck and it makes no sense? I'm like, why didn't you just talk to me about this before? Like but dude, humans are the hardest part about business, dude. Whether you're working with them, working for them, they're working for you, or even just like a relationship, like with your significant other, it's freaking, it's always a mess, dude. It's just varying degrees of mess.
And if you guys are curious, Ryan and his wife work together. She's the CEO of Industry Threadworks. And the last podcast, episode 8, we had her on board. So if you want to go check that out, it's a really good one.
Minimal mess on that one.
Yeah, man. People are very difficult when it comes to business.
Well, like when you were first starting out, I'm sure you had conversations with your parents about it. Like, what did they say? Were they supportive, or were they like, dude, don't do it? Or
yeah, so my mom was a hairdresser growing up. So that's what she did, you know. And then my dad was trying to figure out what he wanted to do. He was an actor. He like did screenwriting for plays. He traveled the country like doing this like Western show. Like he loves drama. He loves that aspect. That's where I get my film stuff from, is my dad, right? So when I was starting in high school, like picking up the camera and really doing fun stuff with it, I never really thought like I would want to make it a career. Because you just hear that industry. It's like, it's broke, like all this kind of stuff and whatever. But I just really enjoyed doing it. So my parents were like, just go to school and figure out what you want to do. And I think that was the best thing that they ever told me, because my mind was like, well, maybe I do want to go to film school. But in reality, like, nah, dude, like my brother went to film school. It's a summer camp. Like,
did you end up going, when you say you went to school, did you end up going to like a
community
college?
Community college, yeah. So I just went for a semester and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So this is what happened. So I was at community college, just going like general ed stuff, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And everything always went back to film, right? So what I did was I left college that first semester and said I'm gonna get my real estate license because I loved real estate. I got it like 6 months later, and I did that for a year. And I was like, I'm not passionate about it. I love video, so I went back to like dabbling in video. And then I was like, I don't want to go back to school, but how am I gonna get world experience? And my mom's like, why don't you just like set up shop and go to like a studio up in LA, and maybe they have like, what's the word?
Apprenticeship programs? Yeah.
Pretty much. And I was like, oh, fuck it. Let's do it. Went on Google. Paramount Studios was the first thing that popped up. And it said like Dr. Phil, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, sick. And in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to apply. The reason I didn't want to apply was because I didn't think I was good enough. I was competing with these kids that weren't in school. And that happened for a second. And I was like, fuck that. You're applying. You have the portfolio. You do it on your own. Like, you're self-taught when it comes to YouTube. You learned all that, blah, blah, blah. And then fast forward, I got the job.
Yeah.
And that was tough. From going to Carlsbad to Hollywood 4 days a week is really tough. That's a long drive.
That is a long drive, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But also, dude, something to think about in that is that you had two voices in your head. One saying, no, don't do this. And one saying, yeah, let's take a leap. And you're in the position you're in now because you listened to the voice that said, go for it.
Yeah. It was tough. My head's always been like, if I put my head out, like if someone, this is what I love, my girlfriend always like does against me, my mom, my dad, like anybody, my best friends, they say to Kota, I bet you won't do this. Done. I'll go do it. So to me, that's where my energy's at. When someone says you can't do it, or I bet you can't, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like I'll do it easy. Like it's stupid shit too. You won't jump in the pool naked. Like you'll blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, shut up. And I'll just go do it. Like tell me I can't do something. It's just small things like that. Same thing with doing that program at the Dr. Phil show. I was like, damn, like I'm probably not good enough. But I was like, fuck it. Like what do I have to lose? And
Right.
I beat out thousands of kids that were in Hollywood and taking that apprenticeship. I remember being in the interview and they were like, where are you from? I was like, San Diego. And they're like, ooh, that's a commute. And I'm like, I'm willing to do it though. And they're like, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So doing that was tough, but you lie to yourself all the time when you think you can't do something. You fucking can.
Mhm.
You just have to know, like, don't listen to that voice. So
Yeah. Because you can talk yourself into or out of anything, right? It's how you justify it to yourself. But that's why I think a lot of people seek for validation. So some people look for actual opinions from outside people, and some people just look for validation. Like I've had so many conversations with other people or entrepreneurs, or people who are just getting started. They have an idea, and the worst is like they'll have an idea and they're like, I want to do this and have this and this and this, and they have all these things, but they're just ideas. They haven't done anything yet. And I'm like, hey, like that's awesome. That sounds cool. But have you thought about this? Like, what happens if this happens? Have you considered, X, Y, Z? And they're like, oh, well, you just don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, Okay, sorry. My bad, bro. You know what the fuck you're talking about, and I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Cool, got it. I never talk to them again because they don't really want an opinion because I do know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm telling them, and they don't want to hear
Is
it.
it ego?
Yes, but also it's not because they don't actually want your opinion on it. They want your validation for it. They want you to say, that's fucking brilliant. That's a brilliant idea. You're so fucking smart. You should definitely do that. It's the best ever. That's what they want.
Yeah.
And if you say anything other than that, they're like, well, fuck you. You know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's like how like your family members always are like usually like your number one supporters or whatever. It's like, that's such a great idea, honey. Like then you have someone that's actually doing like, nah, man, I promise that's going to hurt. Like it's going to hurt. But then sometimes like it is ego.
Well, both can be true though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can do it, honey. And hey, it's going to hurt. Both are accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, you can do it, but it's going to be fucking painful.
But if you, like, I'm super blessed to be here every Wednesday, Thursday talking to you. And that's why, like, I always like to ask and capitalize on questions. That's why I'm here. Also, like, creating content is best with you because I know we're helping a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I do it so selfishly in the way of, like, I'm so blessed to, like, ask you questions and you be there and answering them. Some people are like vice versa where they can have a big head and be like, oh, I don't need to do that. I don't need to go to like these seminars. I don't need to blah. I know everything. I could just do it on my own. It's like, dude, why skip?
Yeah.
Like do that. Skip the step. Learn from like success leaves clues and like just follow that route.
Well, that's why I appreciate this relationship as well is because when I first started it was like 15 years ago and the landscape of entrepreneurship looked completely different 15 years ago. And because of a lot of the brands that we help and we work with industry, they're pretty new brands, like usually 1 to 5 years old. So I want to be able to give them the most accurate, up-to-date information, all this stuff. So being able to talk to you where you're actually doing it, you're building right now in the first 6 to 18 months of your business, that's a huge, like the ability for me to ask you questions and see real time, like what it looks like to build something from the ground up in this exact environment. 2022 is a crazy fucking time. Like it's a totally different time. And so for me, that's super valuable for me because that teaches me new things that I can then pass on to our clients and help them grow and succeed too. But I'm still, dude, I don't think you ever stop growing, man. Well, the good ones don't. I mean, some people definitely do though. Like, nah, I'm good enough. Like the Uncle Rico's like peaked in high school.
Throw a football over the mountains.
Some people are like that though, dude.
No, I love those people. They're funny to me. I don't know.
Well, especially team guys are like that, dude.
Yeah.
They're fucking like, that's a whole other fucking episode. But
have you, all right, I want to go there real quick then. Like, has that always been your personality as like a SEAL? Like being young, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then going into the SEALs, did the SEAL teams change you? Or that's kind of how you always been as a person? It kind of just heightened things. You know what I mean?
I was a very different person before I turned like maybe 28 or 29. And there was a few key personalities that I met in my life that really helped me kind of, honestly, the big part of it was they taught me that I didn't need to give a fuck about a lot of things that I thought were really important. And it turns out like watching them live their life and they didn't give a shit about some of these things that I thought I was so concerned about. I was like, wow, like I really don't have to care about these things, you know? And it really, I felt like it opened up, like took the blinders off me and I was like, holy shit, I can do whatever I want. Like I can dress however I want. I can wear whatever I want. I don't have to fucking care about all these random people's opinions or thoughts or feelings about shit. Like I choose the people whose opinion I care about or the type of person whose opinion I would care about. And everyone else, like a fucking basically an NPC, like non-player character. Like you don't exist. You're in the fucking Matrix, dude. Like you're not even a real person.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care about anything that you do in your fucking entire existence because it's irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little sociopathic way to look at it, but
no,
but
I feel like that's a whole nother topic talking about like being in the teams. Like it's a different mindset, you know? I feel like that's just to me as a perspective. Some people might say like I might say some things about like the teams where it's like, no, like that's too deep as like a civilian where it's like, no, it's not that deep. Anyone can fucking do it if they really want to go do it, you know, but still it's not easy. I know it's not easy.
Well, this is exactly what I was talking to my little brother Aiden about. last night. He's like, he's got so much opportunity in front of him. And I was telling him like the reason that I went in the Navy specifically to be a SEAL was it was the hardest thing I could think of to do at the time. It was either that or climb Everest, and I didn't have 50 grand to climb Everest. But the reason I wanted to do it is because I wanted to find out who I was and where I fit on this scale of like, who am I as a man, as a person, as a human, as a contributor to the world? Where do I fit? So it was way easier, I thought, to just start at the hardest thing. And if I don't make it, I'll go down a notch. If I don't make that, I'll go down a notch. I never went there like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to die. All this shit. I was not that guy. I was like, look, I'm going to train my ass off. I'm going to push myself really hard. And I'm going to go into training and hope that what I'm willing to give to the program is more than what the program is going to ask of me. And a little bit of luck and we'll make it through. And thankfully that's how it worked out. But it is important to do something hard, I think, when you're younger. But the point of that is that it's that chicken and egg thing. Like, which came first, the mentality?
Yeah.
Did you have the mentality to become a SEAL, or did going through training give you that mentality? Mm-hmm. And I think my personal opinion on it is that most people who make it through training already have a propensity or a type of personality that lends itself to being able to go through hard shit, which honestly is very similar mentality to entrepreneurship. And that's why most of my friends now are not team guys. Like, I hang out with very small handful of actual team guys. Most of my friends now are other entrepreneurs because it's the same mindset, like almost identical mindset. But the difference is a lot of team guys, what they'll do is they'll go through training, they'll do one hard thing in their life, and then they slack off and they stop working out and they get fat and they just like, they turn into fucking Uncle Rico's, dude. And they're like, I used to do this, used to do that. Like, dude, nobody gives a fuck. I went through Bloods in 98. I mean, that was 24 years ago. It doesn't fucking matter at all in my day-to-day life. But these people are like, oh, remember back in my day, remember we did this? I'm like, dude, we're talking about high school stories, bro. What the fuck? We're talking about Bud stories, 40. Like, I don't want to fucking do that. Whereas entrepreneurs have to go through shit, but there's an understanding that you constantly have to get better and progress and learn, because if you don't, you're going to get eaten up. So it's not like one hard thing that you go through. Entrepreneurship is a series of hard things. And it's like going to the gym. Like, the weights don't get lighter, you just get stronger. Mm-hmm. And you just get better and you keep working, and eventually you become the type of person that can run a really big company. But I think it starts with that mindset of just like, hey, like you said, like, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm gonna go try it out and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the key. I think that's the common denominator in the mentality between entrepreneurs and Navy SEALs, is just the willingness to bet on yourself and go try and do hard shit and see if you can do it.
Yeah. Because I think that's the best way to learn. I love what you said, where it's like you're betting on yourself. If it doesn't work out, like, what? That's the worst thing that happened. Like, okay, go something a little not as insane as being a SEAL, like in that aspect. Try something, whatever. That's why when I was in college for like a semester or two, I just was trying to figure out, like, what could I do? I knew college wasn't the answer because of one teacher in high school, Mr. Skoglund. He was a firefighter, entrepreneur, like he taught us fire tech stuff. And he's like, dude, like, you legit don't need college. You only need college is if your trade is like being a doctor, where you need certain schooling.
Certification.
Yes.
Yeah. Doctor, lawyer.
You want to be a marketer? Engineer. Do you want to learn marketing? Don't go to school.
No.
You don't need to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars, where it's like, it's crazy. Going on a rant for me, where it's just like, I have friends that spent hundreds of thousands of dollars going to schools, like big schools, trying to get their master's. Guess what they're doing now? Nothing relevant of what they went to school for.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, the problem too, if you do something that's like super cutting edge, like modern internet marketing or digital marketing, like, dude, that genre specifically moves so fast. By the time you have a curriculum that's in a school, 6 years old, it's outdated in 3 to 6 months. You can't expect to learn something 3 to 6 years ago and have it actually work today. Like, stuff from 6 months ago doesn't fucking work.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's why you'll never see like a YouTube textbook in a marketing. Yeah. It's like the algorithm's constantly changing. It's just like, do you get the new update? Like, no, you're right.
You have to be in it. The only people who really know that stuff are the people on the cutting edge who are actually doing it. And
Mhm.
most of those people aren't in universities.
Yeah.
You know, like if the key is, I think if your idea of success or your job that you want to have, your career requires a certification, college is a necessity, right? You're not going to be a doctor that's not, certified and graduate medical school, right? Like you're not going to be an engineer working on high rises without having an engineering degree.
Yeah.
You're not like going to like, oh, we hired this engineer to work on this high rise. Like, oh, where'd he go to school? YouTube. like there's certain things that like, hey, you might know as much, but you need a certification.
Yeah.
In order to be like trusted, like, a lawyer going through the bar exam. But if you don't need that, honestly, I'd take a really hard look at where the information is coming from, the very best information, and go learn from those people.
It circles back to like what you said in the beginning of like, who do you listen to? My grandparents wanted me to go to college. My parents wanted me to go to college somewhat. My dad was just like, you'll figure it out. He had faith in me growing up of like, whatever you're going to do, you're going to 100% go for it. I already know like if it's your dreams acting, if your dreams being a EMT, which I was for a little bit, got certified for that. There's a lot of things. He's like, whatever you're going to do, you're going to love it. And you're going to find out what you want to do and make money, whatever. So I shout out to dad for that one. But going back to, you don't need to go to college for those things. And that's like, for me, I got so much more experience doing stuff on my own. So as the real estate agent, didn't have to go to college for that. I had to take courses. And then I was in an apprenticeship with an electrician company, like rebuilt a whole thing, like King's Fish House out in Carlsbad. Did that whole thing as apprenticeship. I was like, yeah, this was fun, but I don't want to do this. It was good money, but I don't like that. Being a video guy, commercials, all that kind of stuff. EMT, being a firefighter, like that's the route I wanted to go. So I was dabbling and doing these things, going through different programs where it's like, yeah, altogether, 10 grand of what I put into it compared to, I got like 4 different degrees for 10 grand compared to going to that school.
Yeah.
But I feel like people just need to start listening to their gut more, especially this generation of like, if you don't think you want to go to college, don't let your parents peer pressure you, because guess who's going to be in the shitter because of debt? Like you. It's your fault, you know? So it's like, do your education. Like,
people poo-poo this shit that they don't even know about, right? So the trades, for instance, dude, some of the coolest, most financially set dudes I know come from the trades.
Yep.
Right. Like my buddy James, like just like where's a flat bill, super mellow dude. Just, you'd never know this motherfucker pays cash for houses. He has like dozens of houses, and like he's an extreme baller. He's got all this shit going on. But you never know. And he's a mechanic. He's a fucking mechanic. I mean, he owns his own shop, and he's been working, like, he's also the hardest working motherfucker I know. Like, I work hard, you work hard. This guy outworks me by far. His last 22 years in business, he's taken, I think, 3 vacations. And other than that, he's working 6 days a week, like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Like that, like he works his ass off. But the guy makes a fuck ton of money, and he has a great life, and he's winning, And also there's other people that are doing like, electrical or HVAC or plumbing. Like these guys are making money, dude. And I think if I were to start over, I would probably do something like that, because most people aren't doing it. And most people who think they're smart are off doing like college stuff or this traditional like smart person stuff. So if you go in there, you have less competition, and you can get really good at something that you're always gonna be in demand. We're always gonna need electricians and construction and everything like that, and plumbing. But if you're smart and you're a technical technician on these things, you can then build a business around that, right? So like you're doing, like you're very technical with what you do, but now you're starting to get people under you and scale and build and grow. You can do that with any trade, and they're cool jobs, and you get to work with cool people, and you're insulated from this super leftist bullshit mentality as well, where you don't have to like worry about, I mean, there's nobody on a construction site, well, probably, that's worried about their fucking pronouns,
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You're right. That's true. That's very true.
So, yeah, something interesting on that too, like we're talking about certifications. One of the reasons that I chose, trying to be Navy SEAL as my, measure of hard was because it's a standardized version of hard.
Yeah.
It's a certification of like, hey, it's a known level of hard, right? So like climbing Mount Everest is a known level of hard, depending on the season, whatever. But so is Buds, depending on the season, it's a known level of hard. But everything's hard, dude. Like life is hard. Nobody has an easy life. So somebody might have a, say somebody grows up rich, right? And everything's given to them, but they have a brand new BMW they got for, a high school graduation, and it gets a door ding. Like, oh my God, oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's the worst fucking day ever, this and that. And somebody else might be, happy, like, oh my God, I got a pair of shoes I can now walk to school in 2 miles. Like, this is good. So for them, like their worst day is very different than this other person's worst day, but they're both the worst day of their life. You know what I mean? So everything's relative. But if you don't have, this is why context is so important in experience in life, because if you don't have context or like a standard of what like hard is, this guy with his, door ding brand new BMW 15-year-old is like, oh, this is the worst day ever. Like, no, you're just kind of a bitch, And this other kid is like, oh, I got my shoes stolen. I got to walk, 2 miles barefoot. Like, that's way harder. You know what I mean? And there so many people have gone through way, way harder shit than I ever did. And anything I had to endure in SEAL training, it's just not a standard hard, right? So like somebody has, childhood trauma, or somebody has, the one dude who got hiking and his arm got caught, he had to cut his arm off. Dude, that's way harder than anything I had to do.
Yeah.
Like if I had to cut my arm off for SEAL training, but hey, bro, I quit.
Lift this rock up.
Right? No, I'm done, man. Or like I was reading this book, Endurance, about basically an ice voyage, and like what those guys had to go through for a year. Dude, that's insane. Like one day of what they endured is way harder than anything I went through, but it's not a standard version of hard. So it kind of gets lost in the context because everything's so relevant, or everything's so relative to everybody else's experience. But I think that's why it is important, especially when you're young, to go through something that is a known hard, a known difficulty, like a triathlon's hard or marathon's hard, or something that has a standard of hard where you can point to and say, this is actually difficult by any measure, by anybody's definition. This is difficult. Because that gives you confidence to do what you said, to trust yourself. Because in order to build trust in yourself, you have to prove to yourself that you're trustworthy, that you're a person who finishes things, that you're a person who does things, that you're a person who can endure. And how do you trust yourself with that? You have to fucking go through it. Yeah. You have to do it. That's why I'm really glad I did that at the time. And also, it's much easier to go through that shit when you're younger, because I went through it like 19. And if I had to go through it like 25 or 28, like it's not that physically it's much different, but dude, your bullshit meter is much more finely tuned when you're like 28. At 19, I had zero bullshit meter. I was like, they're like, oh, go do push-ups, go do this. I'm like, hoo-yah, I'll go do it. I don't care. Like, I'd jump off a cliff. I don't care. But now I'd be like, whoa, hold on. How many? Sure you want me to do that? It's pretty cold out there, bro. I don't know. You want me to jump off what? Like, I don't know, man. But it is important, I think, to do hard things, if nothing else, and to just build trust and confidence in yourself to take on more and more and build yourself over a lifetime.
I was Jesse Itzler, Jesse.
Oh, yeah.
He has this thing, I forget exactly what it is, but it's pretty much like every quarter you do something that makes you very uncomfortable. Yeah. Fucking hard. So every it
does legit hard shit.
Yeah, dude. Every 3 months, like it's like, okay, you're gonna do it could be a marathon, right? To someone that's fucking tough. To Jesse, like easy. But it's like, what's uncomfortable for you?
Yeah.
And then like Mount Everest, okay, if you can afford it, that's very intense. What's something else that you could go do that's intense like that? It's just being uncomfortable. I get caught up in it all the time. Like I just did finish 75 hard. Shit was tough. I love alcohol. I love drinking. I love doing that kind of stuff. I love eating good foods. But it trained me to be uncomfortable. And it just pushed me to like, it made me feel better about myself, but and healthy. And I was like, damn, shouldn't be hard. This should just be how I live every single day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was just like that mindset. But that's how I feel like I'm starting to get comfortable again. So I'm like, okay, what the fuck do I need to do to get that comfortability out? Because comfort kills. And I know that. It's like, I'm kind of in there right now. It's like, no, man, of quit that shit.
Well, dude, everything ebbs and flows. Dude, sometimes just getting out of bed is hard. Sometimes working out consistently is hard. Like life is hard in general. It's just, you got to choose your hard, because otherwise you're going to be handed your hard. And like, dude, you don't like that.
Yeah.
Don't like that. It's not going to be something you like. It's better to do these difficult things that I think you're totally right. Doing something difficult like that, like Jesse does, is really smart, because it allows you to just steamroll over all the small shit where you're like, hey, it gives you context. Like, hey, you know what? I can take a cold shower for 2 minutes. I can go work out an extra day this week. I can do all this stuff, because you do much harder shit. So the stuff, the small obstacles in your life, that they're small. You're able to frame them as like, hey, this isn't really a big deal. Makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. And more fun.
Yeah.
When things are hard and you're like, I can't do it, and you do it, like, that was actually a good time.
Yeah.
Well,
these days, man, like I didn't do 75 hard because that shit's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do it straight up. It's a cool program. It's really good. But like for me, there's certain hard things that I do, but I choose that type of hard. Like for me, I have goals of like, okay, this is my physical goal. This is my mental goal. This is my financial goal, whatever it is. But me being consistent on those is the hard that I choose, right? So it's like, I want to go work out 5 or 6 times a week. That's my hard, to do that, to get up in the morning and be like, fuck, dude, 6 a.m. I don't want to get up, but I have this goal. I want to do that. So for me, getting up early is hard.
Yeah.
It's not really fucking hard compared to other shit.
Yeah.
But hard is relative.
Hard. Yeah. It's funny in that moment. It's hard.
Yeah. But I think like once you recognize that, like in your mind, oh man, I'm kind of dreading this. I'm kind of, not feeling this. I kind of don't want to do it. That's the time you need to go do it.
Yeah.
That's the time you need to push through and be like, you know what? If I'm afraid of this, I need to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to backslide into just like, wow, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not fucking ever.
Yeah.
You're just going to backslide into nothing.
I want your opinion on something before we wrap up. So I want to do something that's hard, but makes me excited to do it. So I want to get my skydiving license.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I can go jump by myself. But is that like something that, that's kind of, it's scary because it's like my control. So no, I answered my question. I'm good.
There you go, man. That. Yeah. Go do it.
Because it's scary. To me, I'm like, it's exciting. Like I want to do that. So it's not like a thing where I want to go run a fucking marathon. That doesn't excite me. But it's more like mentally, can I do it?
Depends what your goals are.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing, like jumping out and playing, like I want to do that.
Yeah.
Can I mentally do that? I think so. So that's still hard for me. I want to go do that.
Yeah.
So
well, you should then, man. Interesting thing about somebody framed it to me like this, or talk about skydiving. It's the only sport where you jump out and you're going to die. You just save your own life. That's like, wow. You're not doing it in like, it's the reverse of like, oh, I'm just having a good time. Like, no, you're going to die and then you save your life at the end. That's why it's exciting. It's like, shit, man. That's a really interesting way to put it.
I'm going to do that.
There you go.
Dude, I love adrenaline. I love dangling off buildings. It's just, it's another thing too. I just enjoy it. It's fun. It's adrenaline. My mom hates it. She's like, you do stupid shit. But to me, it's like.
Mamas always hate that shit.
It's just, but to me, it pushes me out my comfort zone. Is it stupid to other people? Yeah, it's stupid. But to me, it's like, I like to push the boundary sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's one thing. So.
You got to listen to yourself, brother.
Very true, man.
I love it. Awesome, man. Wrap it up.
Wrapping up.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Dude, I'm digging this new equipment. This thing, we're feeling like legit podcasters.
Yeah, dude. I feel very like confident with the gear we have now.
Mm.
So like, I'm still trying to like make sure everything's working correctly.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
All right.
We're getting there, man. But,
awesome, brother.
So yeah, if you guys are watching on YouTube or just listening on any podcast platform, like it, give a 5-star review. If you want, you should. And subscribe, leave a comment, and you know what to do.
Perfect.
Shake and bake.
Done, son.